today's Tuesday Table Talks. We are in our series of healing Black male and female relationships. I am your host, Lotus.
And I am your host, Tigra.
And these are our guests. And this sir here
is Kelly Wimbley, yeah.
And this sir here,
David Brookfield.
Yes. So today's episode, like I said, which is a part of our series, is dating.
Yes. What is happening?
Don't pay me no mind. Okay.
We're going to have fun with this show, that's for sure.
Definitely. We started quite early. My cup is filled with cacao. Longevity.
We are in the beautiful space of love and light.
That's right.
Wellness.
Love and light wellness.
Right. So, and I have happy.
What's it say? It says Tuesday Table Talk.
I'm saying what's in the cup.
Oh, there's definitely happiness in this cup.
Yes, totally. Right?
From love and light.
Exactly. So, if you caught our first episode of Healing Black Male and Female Relationships, you caught a treat. So we are continuing this topic with different series and topics of discussion. And for today, the topic of discussion is dating. So what is your thoughts on dating? Anybody?
It's trash out here in the streets. The streets are trash.
The streets are trash.
I believe in arranged marriages. No, I'm sorry.
I'm actually not opposed.
I'm not opposed, but
I have a friend who went back to her roots, went to India, and did an arranged marriage through her family, and she's happier than she ever was. I am all for it if you can make that happen.
She's happy and in love.
She's very happy. Okay. Yes.
Now she did this as what age would you say?
Oh, she pretty sure it was late 30s, early 40s.
Oh wow!
So and normally in cultures is much younger.
Yes, well, it was after she was already out here and saw that the streets were trash.
Yeah.
And the situations that she had been in were trash. And she just wasn't having, good luck out here. And she has like a son. Her son and my son they played football together. So she was like at the point where she was ready for someone serious, ready for love, and she just like, hey, I'm going back to my roots. She went back to India and let her parents, arrange a marriage.
Okay.
And she's happy and in love.
All right.
I'm curious. What is your definition of the streets are trash?
Oh yeah, that's very okay.
Broad.
Yes, it is. So of course I'm speaking from an emotional spot. When I was in there in the streets. So basically, what that means is, are you taking notes?
Yes, the streets are trash. Streets with a Z, correct?
Basura, okay? So what that basically means, just coming from, a lot of women and men are saying that nowadays, and it just means that out here, the people that you're running into, and I mean, you can psychoanalyze it and say who you're attracting, whatever. From my perspective, what I saw, a lot of the men aren't men. And I don't mean that from like a macho type of you have to be this or you type. I mean, I was running into more men who were, say men loosely, who were wanting to take on the traditional female role. Like, you do things for me. Oh, yes, I know, right? That's my face. So it's, I'm trying to think of an example. They just want you to cater to them. They want you to cater to them, you to do things for them, and they want to be the prize out here. Yeah. And there are women who are catering to that. They don't care. I was looking at the shade room, sorry. I was looking at the shade room, and it was some rapper, and he was talking about how he has 3 women.
That's traditional.
Yeah.
They're all in agreement with it.
It's very traditional.
And he was no prize. So I'm just like really.
Right.
I've been around a little bit, and I've seen folks, I've known people who have 3 wives. I met a guy in DC that had 7. And we're not talking about, I ain't got no high school diploma, we're talking about degrees, that kind of thing. And there's all kinds of arrangements I've seen And sometimes folks have been exposed to what doesn't work at an early stage in life, that they say, well, let me try this and see how this works. Because I know for some folks, they say they want to be married, but until you're, I'll just put in this category, until you're brave enough to ask the real questions of each other, you're assuming what the other person thinks marriage is. And so a lot of times, I think a lot of people go into relationships based on fear. And because if you don't ask real questions, then why are you not doing it? Because if you plan to be with somebody for the rest of your life, then those questions are going to come up anyway. It's like if you don't know how to balance your checkbook and the other person does, I was telling one guy, I said, well, that's your job. Because you do and they don't. You don't just get angry with them and automatically suppose to become an accountant overnight because they love you. And so in some people, their thing is, I expect you to be that person. And until you articulate it, or until that person says, okay, I'm going to learn how to do that role, for this relationship. All kinds of things are going to come up in a relationship.
We haven't even gotten to relationships that we're just dating. Trying to
right.
find,
so are those the questions we would ask for dating?
Well, most cultures don't date. That's more of a Western thing, particularly in the United States.
You know what? I agree with that, because I was just telling in a girl conversation that I've never really dated. It was always just, the match. It's a match, right?
And this is part of your Filipino thing.
What? Where you come from?
I mean, you said what you said. It just sounded a little odd that you mentioned that.
Yes. Oh my God.
Not at all.
Watch it now.
All kinds of Tagalog come your way, man.
Right. And the chocolate, right. But no, it's like just trying to get to the point where you're talking and getting to know each other, and you're wanting to know someone. But and another, there's nothing wrong with, like, if everyone's agreeing that you're going to have serial dates. So if you're dating, okay, I guess there needs to be a discussion as to, is this exclusive, or or I'm just getting to know several people. Does there have to be a conversation for that, right? And if someone is open and honest, that's a great thing, right? If you're, hey, I'm not ready to settle down with one person, and the person can think about it, and if they're agreeing to that, then I don't have an issue with that. I mean, that's something that's completely different to me. But just trying to get to know people, and people are they're putting on facades.
Yeah.
No one's really. I mean, they're trying to be Instagram people in real life. Like, you know what I'm saying?
It's social media.
Yeah.
I mean, like I was saying, dating is that didn't really kick off truly till the 20th century. Dating. And we're acting like it's been going on for thousands of years. It's a new concept, and in a relatively new country.
And within that time period, not only is it new, conceptually, it has changed within its short lifespan.
Exactly.
It started off as being the courtship being instigated by men,
right?
And so on. Like, my grandmother said that, are you out there courting a woman and all that stuff? Like, you can say it to a kid nowadays, it wouldn't have a clue what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Now, I can say this, and it's not, from an ego standpoint, but more women hit on me than I hit on women by any stretch of the imagination. Women are more emboldened to take the first step with a man nowadays than I've ever seen in my lifetime. So that's changed the dynamic of dating right there, because women are actively trying to date you as a man. Like, the courtship is either mutual or one-sided.
And maybe that's what I'm seeing, because I'm kind of old-fashioned in that aspect, at least. Like, and I don't think there's anything wrong. I love seeing women being assertive. I don't have it in me. I'm gonna give you a look, and expect you to catch on and pursue me.
We need some cue cards.
Right? Like, with a man, like, okay, if you saw a woman, she's like, hey, you don't take that as, she's flirting. If you're, no.
Do it again.
I mean, just for me looking at you, I'd be like, she got a beautiful smile. She is attractive. But I wouldn't think she'd be.
No, that's not what
trying-
guys think. You're thinking from a woman's perspective on that.
Really?
No, not necessarily, because I wouldn't.
That's me shooting my shot.
Do it again.
See, that was different. That was different.
It was a little bit
Jim. That was
Even then,
different.
I'd be like, she might have
You look
gas.
up, look up,
She
look
might
down.
have-
Maybe she politely adjusted so she can, maybe
You know,
she did.
and then slowly walking by you, looking, glancing real quick. That's shooting your shot.
You know,
Well, see,
Oh,
back again to it.
yes.
Dating being a new concept, and initially, like it went from courtship. Well, I say arranged. There was arrangements, then courtship, and then dating. And the courtship stuff kind of ended around 1940, 50 something. When you start seeing it in the movies.
Mm.
And so the idea kind of spread around. It's like when there's a new dance and now everybody in the country knows it a month later. Before, it was that dance in that area.
You can probably attach that to something that happened in the 40s and 50s. What happened at the end of the 40s? World War II.
World War II.
Women were working.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm making money.
Yep.
I can say I like you,
Mhm.
right?
It was a whole other thing going on. And the thing is that's what's happening for the United States. So the rest of the world is still on the old school stuff.
Yeah.
So we're doing something a little, it's like being on an island, and then we're kind of expecting if you go somewhere else, you think the whole rest of the world came with you and say, no, you're American.
Mm.
You're on that American stuff. You know what I mean? So, it's like I say, it's a new thing. And so it used to be like, so men would be the ones who would ask a woman out, and now it's changed. And if you're old school, and like I say, and that's really new, it's really is new old school. It's like saying neo soul. How long has soul been around?
Right. Right.
So it's like, okay, you gotta. It's like folks are shifting gears to trying to find out who's who and what style. If I grew up in an Amish community, it's gonna be pretty much everybody about the same. How you go about meeting somebody. It ain't like the person across the street might have a whole other program on what they think dating is.
That's all I was going to say. And I guess it's different variables because we're talking about location, demographics, we're
Mhm.
talking about age. The guys who, want you to care for them or do
It's all
things
across
that
the
you.
board, baby.
It's all across
It's
the
from the
board.
20s to the 70s.
Mm. So
It
it's
just depends
more
on
that
the
prove to me that you want to be with me first.
I don't know I can't, assume what they want, but based on what Davey was saying, David
David.
was saying, if women are more assertive, maybe they're just used to, maybe they've become accustomed to women being more out and pursuing them. So they're taking,
Possibly.
yeah. And so I'm seeing it a different way than what they're seeing, I guess.
I have seen it where some guys, I don't know if I'm not gonna say they're academics about it, but they say, well, I've got this going for myself, I got that going for myself. And there's only so many guys who are doing these particular things. So out of the 1,000 guys, I'm one of the 10 that is. So my options are wider because I might be the guy that you say you're looking for. And some people look at it like, it's like some women, they know they fine, and they know guys are looking, and they could be like, no, not him, not him, not him. And I know they're all looking for a certain profile. And they're like, no, you a scrub, you know what I mean? And so, you can have your choice based on the guys being attracted to you physically. So I mean, it's on both sides. It's got, where both sides are looking through a certain lens. Some people go, they like folks with education. Some people like, I want a guy who's going to be a father. Some people go, I want the bad boy. I'm just being real, and the bad boy is going to be the bad boy, and he might not change overnight for you to become a father figure, And so, I mean, everybody's attracted to what they're attracted to, but you get what you get. I'm such a firm believer in when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. It doesn't mean they're a bad person. They're just at where they're at the time. And they're going to move forward into being what other new role or stage of life when they get there and choose to get there. And so do you,
I'm curious as to, since we're on the topic of dating, what would be an ideal first date for 2023?
Oh, wow. Well, I guess it really depends on where you are. in the country and the world. If you're in St. Louis, like we are, unfortunately, right now.
Don't say that after
No
4
slight to
days, just a
people in
couple
St.
days.
Oh, I know.
Sorry, St. Louis.
Yeah, scratch that. That's going to be
Where do we
edited.
go here?
That's going to be
in St.
edited out.
Louis?
Okay, yeah.
Beautiful
I
people.
think we could do. Yeah, it's some places.
Okay,
Some
so
places.
we'll go around the table.
Yeah.
And so what about you? What's your
I
purpose?
would say come here to love and light.
That's
Okay.
right.
Have a
That's right.
delicious vegan meal.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Something light that's not
And
going to weigh
and
you
the
down,
drinks.
especially if you're a little bit older like I am.
Mhm.
And food sometimes doesn't agree with you like it did when you were in your 20s.
True.
A
Yeah.
lovely light meal that you can just airy and you still feel energetic.
Yeah.
And it doesn't weigh you down because food does affect your mood.
Yes, it
Yes.
does.
Right. Drinks, smoothies, things like that. Everyone here is giggling and having a good time. They have good energy. That's a good first day energy.
Yeah.
Right? People get to see your light. So I would say some place like this, and it's not expensive. So you
Yeah,
should come
oh, yeah,
here.
yeah,
Your
absolutely.
first day, come here. Trust me.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Me too. Nice.
Great first date.
Oh,
Absolutely.
well, I have to, let's see. Tigra that's talking right now is feeling more like hiking.
Mhm.
Depends on which Tigra you're talking to, but right now,
Which Tigra?
yes. This Tigra right now would say like hiking, just because and Missouri does have some nice hikes. Whether it's Castlewood, that's a popular one. I won't tell you my favorite because I don't want y'all to come stalking me. But so Castlewood's a good one. And because it's nature, you know, you get to be on
Castlewood's
nature.
wild.
You get to see the Merrimack River, just beautiful scenery. And it's some secluded paths where you can have some, you know, just some secluded time to yourself.
But for first date,
Sure would.
Yeah, and you'd have the
If
both of you to
vibes
talk.
out in the woods, then you know.
you
To
gonna
run the
have
other way.
Shoot. It's a lot of little nooks and crannies,
Just on
no
this,
little spaces.
just as
hidden
a aside,
spaces and stuff.
you automatically exit somebody out who got maybe a little bit of physical situation. They can't hike.
Yeah, they
with you.
might not be able to hike.
If you can't hike with me, then
Gotta have your standards, man.
Go ahead and say it. There you go, folks.
Gotta have your standards.
If you're
That's
winded
a
in the first
bar.
half a mile, it's not gonna work. Good luck. Turn around, back to your car, and go home.
That's a really good
It's a
point,
valid
though.
point, though.
Because I've heard that about, because I'm a runner. And
Mhm.
so, and I have my little certain places, that's what we do as women. We have to make sure that we're secure. So we have certain places that we will go
Yeah.
during certain times. And it's been numerous occasions where it'd be an elder out there either walking the track or coming across me, and it's a brother who I notice has been on my trail the same for about 20 minutes or so. And so this has happened more than once and then the elder goes, you're gonna have to work out a little bit harder if you're trying to catch up with her. So you're gonna have to do a little bit better. Or the guy would say, I think if we go out, or I'm gonna have to get myself together so I can hang out with you. And I'm like, yeah, something you gonna have to do.
Well, I'm not a runner, but I did become a runner.
Yeah.
So
You did.
Oh, yeah.
You did. Have to show proof.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great sprinter. I'm like, okay, I'm not too much of
Yeah.
a sprinter. I'm a distance runner.
Yeah.
So at
But I
least I
learned how to
know.
be a distance runner because I didn't know how to. I've always been a fast runner. It was I used to dust everybody off, but as far as the distance, no. And I ended up learning that the not so much the technique or the way that you're supposed to position your body in order to run was different. And I was using the wrong. I was trying to do distance like a sprinter and didn't realize it.
Yeah, he was passing out.
Yeah, hey, I didn't know. But once I learned it, I saw how she kept, and I got it.
Yeah.
And I got it. And she was sometimes getting,
Oh yeah.
she would be like,
Yeah, it takes me a while to
Yeah,
get it. Yeah. But that we have that competitive
Yeah.
nature
oh,
too.
yeah, that did
So I know, it's like, okay, yeah, whatever, you can beat me, running sprint, but you ain't gonna beat me in distance. So, I got you.
Look at that relationship metaphor that just dropped on y'all there. Whole set up there. You take that however you want.
Take it how you want.
She was a sprinter, or he was a sprinter, and she was a distance runner. Come on, y'all.
I'm just saying. Yeah.
That's how
Sound
we
like
do
something
it.
T.D. Jakes would say. Or something.
Right?
I'm just saying. I mean, but,
There's something in that, I'm sure.
So that means I can sprint and do distance as well. So,
Right.
so
Well, anyway, okay, back to the first dates. Back to the first dates, which that would be hilarious to discuss ours. But anyway, back to the first dates. I think an ideal first date for me would be like going to like Lumiere Sculpture Park.
Oh yeah.
You know, going to a sculpture park, doing something different, maybe both parties experiencing something that they've never experienced before, you know, rock climbing or find something different. A comedy show would
done
be,
that.
yeah, I said for a first date. A comedy show would be good.
Mhm.
You know, that way you can kind of get to know somebody and, you know, and the floor is kind of, ice is broken. So,
Until they start calling you out in the comedy show, you see another side of somebody. But
then
you might
I
need
like to
see
see
You
it.
might need to
Right,
see that.
might need
That's
to
true.
see it. Let's bring it.
Because on the tangent, I think a great way to know somebody is to introduce them to a situation where they can be angry to see how they
Uncomfortable.
react.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
'Cause- Okay.
How they can be angry.
Because I want to see how people respond when they're angry. Are you physical when you're
Is that why you
angry?
taking this guy on this trail?
So,
I was coming now. We'll get into that later.
so, and then the Myers-Briggs comes out. Pull it out, shake
Oh, you don't want to see mine.
Rorschach test.
Oh, gosh. Okay, what would be a great ideal first date in 2023?
Ideal first date in 2023. I think making dinner with each other.
Oh, that's
Mm.
You know, I like to cook.
You gonna have the person in your house
I could.
for first date?
That's a separate conversation. I mean, no, I mean, I
I know, we
don't
wouldn't
come back
do
to
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
women wouldn't.
Women
I wouldn't
Women
want anybody to know where I
right,
live.
and I wouldn't go to a person's
Yeah.
house on the
And I
first
can
date.
see, I can see, okay, I set up a place, you know,
Yeah,
I could see that. Like,
If I already knew you, maybe.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it
Yeah.
depends on
Yeah.
how the first date came to be.
Yeah, that's true.
I might have known you for 5 years already.
okay.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah,
If
that
I
would be
just
nice.
met you, probably not.
Yeah,
But that's a great idea. Though.
that would be nice.
That is
a nice
lovely.
gesture.
But-
Yeah.
To your point, you can adjust that because they have those like
Shared kitchens or something.
yeah, those things where you go like to
That would be
Deerbergs or whatever, and you
Mm-hmm.
cook together at that location, and they teach you how to cook a meal,
Mhm.
That would be nice.
Yep,
and
that's
they get
good.
you a little wine and all that stuff, and then you
Mm-hmm.
can do that at a safe location.
Yeah.
Or it could be something in a park, you know, like, you know, little picnic type thing, you know, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
What would you think of that as a first?
But
date?
I would love it. I mean,
I'm a sucker for
I like,
that.
yeah, me
I
too.
love
I
that
like
kind of
it
stuff.
when brothers utilize the resources that we have around them. And then it's like, it does not have to be, you know, costly. You don't ain't about to spend no money, dude. Just take me somewhere. You know, let's go outside and, you know, and get to know each other. I love that. Yeah, I like that. Now, okay, let's switch it. What would be a bad first date?
Be invited to his house, obviously. No.
My girl, he invited me to come in his house. I don't know who you think I am. I mean, but then we'd be making assumptions or whatever. But I mean, it's honestly,
For me,
It's
it
not
wouldn't be
gonna
the
happen.
place necessarily. It would just be this.
The person.
Yeah, what
yeah,
happened. So if you showed up stanking, you know, like you're not fresh, your clothes not fresh.
what if you just have work and you like, oh, you know, work lasts a little bit longer. or
Your
what's
first
the next-
date, we should have had something
Yeah, you
already
should say-
arranged for that. That shouldn't be an excuse. But if you are working and I meet you, that's different. Like, yeah, you just got. But no, for a first date, something should already been arranged. Either when you had time to go home and shower, or your day off. You should have arranged that so that you have time. If we're trying to throw in a date and you're on your phone the whole time,
Oh God.
Oh, that's a big one, yeah. Texting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you have to answer work call, that's completely different. But if you looking at your Instagram, and you know, like you said, texting, that's just completely different. So
Yeah.
things like that, or just talking about yourself the entire time.
God.
Um,
Oh God. That's the worst.
You great, you want to let them know?
I mean, you can talk about yourself, but let's get you some time limits on it. You know, let's be like,
You
hey,
gonna-
oh, I've been talking about myself for like
Get a little egg.
yes, yes, the
That's
saying,
enough.
yes.
Little
Yes.
ding, and you're still talking.
If your mouth is dry, you may want to take a pause. Now, tell me about you. You know,
Yeah.
Those are some of
So
the
if he
things.
turns the
Those are
timer on
terrible.
you while you talking, how does that? How would you feel?
Well, I'm not a talker. I'm a listener.
Mm.
So I'm gonna cut off immediately. Yeah. So you'll have to really, unless I'm really interested, you're gonna have to pull it out, which I wouldn't be there if I wasn't interested. But yeah, I'm not a talker. I told you.
What about dates when they're talking about their exes? Like a first date
Actually,
talk.
Did anybody answer the other question? I don't want to commandeer, and I just said I don't like to talk.
I think we agree.
Okay. I actually want to hear, because I want to hear how you talk about your ex.
Mm.
To a degree.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're saying, oh, she's a this and that and that, oh, that's how you talk to about women, you know? But if you're right. So it really depends on what you're saying about your ex. If you're just saying, oh, this is what happened, she's a great person, I'd love to hear it.
Mm.
I think it's a semi-common question for first dates. Is that
Mm-hmm.
that some people, I asked it with a lady I dated for some years, and she was married. She was divorced at that point, and I was like, if you don't mind, I would never demand you tell me this in the beginning, but if you don't mind, let me. What happened?
Yeah.
Or at least, what do you feel like? The crescendo and then the end that brought you here today, because that was an important piece of your life that got you here. I'm curious, and I should have listened because I didn't listen, and it stuck in my mind through a long part of the conversation. The relationship, that she never took any ownership in her side of that relationship ending. She continuously, she's like, well, he told me that it wasn't my fault, and that he messed up, and that I was the best thing that ever happened to him, and it was all his mistake, and he even told me that, blah, blah, blah. And she kept going on and on about how she made no mistakes in the relationship, and it was just him, even though he was happily married again. And she's single. And I'm not saying that means anything, but you can't tell me in a relationship all the bad is one person and all the good is both of you, or whatever. Just you. This just seems weird to me that you take zero ownership, even if something had to happen that even made him think it was okay to do something that ended the relationship, if that's the case. There's some ownership in it. There's some ownership. There's
Not
gotta
necessarily.
be.
Sometimes there could be, but not necessarily all the time.
I have never experienced it myself.
Well, that's your experience, but maybe in that particular, and maybe with her, your circumstance was different. But maybe in that past, I don't know her or her situation, but there is a possibility that she did everything right. Well, to her, what she thought was right in that situation. And if she did do something wrong, maybe he didn't convey that to her, and maybe she doesn't know.
100%.
So maybe in her view that she didn't do anything wrong.
You're right. But it rubbed me the wrong way.
Okay.
I'm just being honest.
Right.
Being
Okay.
completely
I would
honest.
say,
Okay.
Well, they ain't together.
So you're right.
Well, she obviously did not have discernment of what was going on in the relationship. So that might be a flaw.
Well, good luck to her.
Okay. A bad example of a bad first date.
That's a rough one. I've been on a couple. And like you say, it's so specific to the individual, because there's no woman, but there, like you said, there's things talking about exes the wrong way. Or I had a lady who was on a date with me, and on top of, she did many things that was like this flag up flag, way too forward. And some men might like that. So that might be not an issue for another person. For me, I was like, just have a seat for a minute and let me figure out who you are. Like you're in my lap, and I literally just met you. And on top of that, she was like rushing us along in the future. She was like, so, what are we going to do about this? And what, we should go here and do this. And I'm like, I'm still trying to, I don't even know your last name well enough yet. And you are writing checks that our relationship can't cash, because we don't have a relationship yet. And then on top of all that, at some point, just casually, she was like, but we have to go to your house for a while first, because me and my ex still live together. Huh? What'd you say? You and your ex still live together? She was like, yeah, we still live together. And he's jealous. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Exactly.
She want to see.
That was a bad.
Well, you slap box in the
But
street.
she goes, you ain't got to worry about, you're way bigger than him. So I was like, yeah, check.
Oh yeah,
Let me get
This is the
that.
first day?
This is the first date.
Yeah, it's
That's
It's
a
the
bad
first
one.
date.
I've heard a lot of horror stories from some guys out there about
It was interesting.
That's a bad.
She said you up for the gladiator.
Oh yeah, she wanted me to have all the smoke, and I was like, nah, I don't do that. I
Wow.
don't do that. That's
Wow.
I've,
What about you?
I'm trying to think. Hell, I even had a. I guess I didn't look at them as bad dates. It's just like there was no chemistry or something like that. You know, I think that's kind of how I looked at some dates I went on years ago.
This is weird. Do you think in this day and age that we can discuss, like, okay, you know, within like 5 minutes, like, you know what? I don't think this is working out, you know, and I don't feel the chemistry.
You should.
Yeah, I think we should be able to do that. Or,
In 5 minutes?
well, it could be a little bit long.
Maybe.
You know, but you know, if you
Instead of
vibing
dragging
or
it
not.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just say, okay, look, let's split the check, or, you know, you want to hang out somewhere else or whatever, but I don't think we're good, you know.
That's why I think that whole speed dating thing is so awesome. It's an awesome idea where, you know, you have that time. It's like, okay, I may want to know a little bit more about this person without having to be stuck or feeling stuck for the rest of the night or whatever. Or
what about having like some sort of a cheat sheets or, you know, or something that has like a script for first dates, you know, like a certain amount of questions and stuff that you would ask. And also, you know, we've had that thing with girls of first dates. I don't know if they still do it, but you know, to not wear the best looking underwear or, you know, or something. So you don't go be too forward, you know. So what the guys are like so confused. So basically they tell you, I guess if you're from our parents or whoever,
well, my parents, because they were like, don't do nothing. But but I have heard people say that. So what that means is if you're a woman who is not celibate or is not, you know, who's into relations, to keep you, if you're wanting to make sure that you don't go all the way with this person, you wear something that you wouldn't want them to see.
That's
so
right.
like, yes, that was a thing. Right. So holy underwear or
mismatched or whatever, it's just looking crazy.
It wasn't your dad that told you that. It was probably the mom.
That's right.
Sure was.
Dads aren't going to say that for one. First of all, we ain't trying to have nobody see nothing, but to a guy that doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
That's y'all.
But see, for us, it's not. If I got something underneath my clothes that is embarrassing for me,
you're not gonna see it.
I understand, but I'm saying to the guy, if you wore boxers, well,
come on,
I'm trying to keep this as PG as I can. If I get to the point where I see your boxers, then things must be good.
Wait a minute. No, we don't have to.
No, I'm just saying as guys, you're talking about
real boxes.
What I'm saying is you gotta understand when folks are going on a first date, you're obviously physically attracted to each other, right? 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 That's because, and then you're learning to
that's like a guy.
No, listen. I'm trying to tell you. You said not like a guy, but you're coming from a woman's perspective. I'm trying to tell you how a lot of guys think. We're talking about a first date, right? So that means it is purely attraction. I don't know you from a can of paint other than you look fine to me. So that means there is a physical attraction. I don't know if you got a PhD or a GED. That is not what's on my mind. The more that I talk to you, the more I'm finding out whether you have a GED or a PhD. Okay? Because there's nothing that denotes that unless you're wearing your cap and gown. Okay? So the thing is, it's more physical at first. Mm-hmm. And then you fill in the gaps. I'm just saying for guys.
Well, I like lace on women. So if
you just said
I do. I'm just saying. So if I was on if something went a little further the first time, and this particular guy had on lace underwear, it's a wrap. I'm sorry. It's just I'm not moving.
When you say it's a wrap, it's on a wrap that is not on.
No, it's off. It's off. Pink panties.
Right.
It's off.
Right. So
I'm saying and we going.
Where are we right now?
No.
But he said.
What happened?
He said boxers on a woman, and I'm just saying
it doesn't mean the same thing to us that it means to you guys.
True.
So
we were brought up to say wear clean underwear because you might get in a car accident.
Yes.
See how that's it?
I have heard what you're saying.
Yeah, right. So guys, that become more nuanced later.
That if a woman has a matching bra and panties,
yes,
you didn't pick that night.
Yeah,
She did,
exactly.
right?
That's true.
Now,
Exactly.
without being too crazy,
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it PG.
I try my best.
Who said it got to be PG? This
I
is
know.
adult. Well, go ahead.
I'll go back a little bit in my own mental Rolodex. Sometimes it was matching, and sometimes it was, I guess I caught you off guard.
Yeah, right.
Because it wasn't always, but to that point, depending upon, God, it's gonna sound bad, but the caliber of the woman who I was talking to that day, if she felt as though like she wasn't prepared like she should have prepared, typically they give you some kind of conversation about that. Like, I didn't know we were gonna do this. Just don't look at my big old unprepared underwear type of thing. And I'm like,
Got my granny pants.
and like you said, as a guy, I'm like, what underwear?
Exactly. I'm just saying. I'm telling you how guys think.
We are way
I'm telling
past
you,
that.
we're
I
not
had made the
women.
decision a long time ago that it didn't matter if you had whatever you had.
Now we
Well,
may admire it when you do it.
Absolutely.
You know, when you do, we're like, okay. But if we got to that point already, we already know what's really gonna happen.
Yes.
I have a couple of.
I'm just saying. I mean, that's how guys think.
First, just if I'm wearing matching underwear, because I like the way they look. Ain't got nothing to do with you or what you want or what I think you want. That's just what I got from that. So, also, I just have a question. What is when you say a caliber of woman? Can you explain? Can you elaborate on that?
I knew that was coming.
Stick me in the hole now.
No,
I knew that was
Well,
coming.
it's, what I mean is, different people have different sensibilities about what they find to be important from standpoints. Some women, some people, they don't care about the clothes, right? Or to your point, maybe they do it for them, right? There's women out there in the world who are like, I'm clean, matching panties and bra. That's a luxury that maybe I don't do or I do on occasion, whatever the reason may be. Maybe she doesn't care and doesn't look at it like, I wasn't prepared for the day. She's prepared for whatever her day is because she's not looking at it like that. Where there's other women out there like, I like this guy. I have female friends, right? And I've heard them converse like, I think I'm gonna do something with this guy tonight, David. I'm like, oh yeah? It's like, yeah, I even got a matching pair of bodies on, panties and bra on, because just in case it get there, I'm ready, right? The caliber of what they're thinking of, you know, and some of it might be maturity, some of it could be the upbringing. There's so many different factors, but I've noticed them both, and a spectrum in between. Like I say, some don't even care about it, some do care about it, and everything in between. At the end of the day, when it comes back to it, we don't care as much as you do. But when you get older, potentially, if you're still dating, I am. You notice some things, and so if I were to date a woman and we get intimate and she has on a matching pair, I would probably be more on the line of thinking this might be for me. Now, if I ask her later on and she's like, no, I just like doing that. Okay, well, cool, I benefited.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like lingerie.
But when we're younger, a lot of times we're not. It's not like somebody put you in a class when you're younger and say, you need to notice this and notice that as a guy.
Absolutely.
We wind up learning along the way.
Absolutely.
If you go to the men's department and see how simple our underwear is,
I have.
that should let you know how not into underwear I'm just telling you. I'm telling you. But if they had 20 different kinds of underwear for men, ours would be more nuanced, and we go, oh, we see you got hooks and we ain't got none of that stuff.
No.
We don't do all of that. No. So you guys wind up learning at an earlier age is more than just a bra and panties. T-shirt, it might be the shirt without the sleeves, and you got boxers and briefs. So I'm saying, but what I'm saying, okay, Cisco. Anyway, right? So, but I'm saying it's there's the way we look at it, and then there's the way we look at it on you. And when I was like, whoa, I could acknowledge it, but I'm also, whoa, we're here now. Because that's the only reason I would be able to see it anyway.
Right.
Even like, well, that's just her everyday gear, So, I mean.
That answer no question.
For now. So also on a first date. Okay, let's start with since we're on clothes.
It's going to be interesting to hear the commentary tomorrow after this comes out.
speaking of clothes, so what do you think of the way a woman dresses on her first date? Like,
Oh yeah, I definitely noticed.
do you know? So if she's wearing, do you judge her based on what she's wearing? Like if she's showing too much, or I'm sorry, she's showing too much, or if do you judge her based on that?
Oh man. Well,
Right.
I'm one of those people that looks at, it's not about judgment because we all do that. It's about sentencing, so we all judge. So my thing is, looking at it is, I can look at how you put things together at this age and see I see how you put that together, and look at it more like, I look at it when a woman gets dressed is more like art.
I like that.
I mean, I do, and so, because that's you being creative, decorating yourself, so to speak, so when I see how you put it on and how it looks on you, then I'm just like, okay, all right, and I see what you're doing. That's where I'm at. Now, when I was younger, 20 or 30 years ago, it'd be like, okay, that looks nice. You look good in that. And okay, where are we going now? You know what I mean? So it's a, you can't, we all kind of grow into, like, she could be wearing something, sometimes she'll dress based on what I'm wearing, but like I said, we're still getting back to first date stuff, but over a period of time, well, I kind of noticed, I said, I don't feel good. I need to change my shirt, that kind of thing, Yeah, so we don't necessarily have to match, but at least level up.
I hear you on that.
So, but sometimes I'll notice, okay, if back in the day, I would notice if what she had on, and if it was revealing or something like that, I was like, oh, she must really like me.
Do you feel that if she is revealing, showing all the boobs and legs, do you think that means that's you, and you took her on a date, that you deserve something that night for that?
Deserve what?
No, I don't look at it deserve, but want, yes.
But some men will look at a woman dressed a certain way and so say, oh, she wants me tonight. That's and I took her on a date. I did this for you. You owe me something.
No, I don't look at it as no, definitely don't. I know I don't. I don't look at it as but I'm like, okay, there's less for me to have to imagine. So keep it real. So because I'm seeing, if we're going on a date, that means we're attracted to each other. That just point blank. If we weren't attracted, we wouldn't be going out.
Okay, since kind of piggyback off of that, or I just made me think, what about first dates when do you think it's still the norm for men to pay on first dates, and that it should be expected for men to pay, or how, I know we're at a different age, so
I came up that way. Because when I would hear the Dutch thing, I noticed there was a different energy.
Oh yeah.
Than if energetically how the woman responds. You might have that in theory, but emotionally you're not aligned with what you just said. Because I noticed that the vibe would change if it was Dutch.
Yeah.
So and that varies from woman to woman, but for the most part, but I'll say in the 95 percentile, based on my experience, it was, if we went Dutch, it meant something different to her emotionally. Intellectually, it was a nice exercise, but emotionally, but it just never, it didn't come across the same way. So it was just like, oh, you're in friend status.
Yeah.
So when a guy pays and we start, like I said, I look at it as guys, we're real simple creatures. And so I don't see us as being that complex. So when we notice that if we went Dutch and we called it a date and we noticed your vibe was one thing and I get in the friend category and then I pay and you seem to be like, I don't fault me for being a good observer, of behavior, And so if you've had that experience, and most of the guys I know, they're just like, I noticed she behaved different when I paid than when we went Dutch.
So don't answer that one yet. Answer the one before that.
What was one before that?
The one before that was trying to figure out the women on the first date.
The way you said that. Now listen here. We gonna get you.
Who in the finger?
What I
You
say?
had to be here for that.
Oh gosh.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Ooh, hot seat.
Respectfully.
Respectfully.
I know what Rashawn
Oh
said.
my God.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
That's a life
Oh.
jacket and a bulletproof vest right there.
He might need some water. Might need
So
water.
no, it was the judge. Like, do you judge a woman based on how she's dressed, or
Oh,
on the first
right.
that one? That was a little loaded, but you didn't.
No, it's a very difficult question to answer. Unfortunately, for me, it is because once again, it goes back to how did we get to this first date, right? Did I meet you on the app?
Mhm.
Were you a reference of a friend? Were you already a friend or acquaintance?
Mhm.
Right? Those things, because how we got to that first date and where the first date is
Mhm.
and where we are, and all those things factor into how you're going to be able to dress, right? So if I know a woman for some period of time and I consider myself to be an acquaintance or even almost a friend, and we decide, let's say a date would work for us. That's happened with people before. And you go on a date and you've seen them in like a very friendly manner where they're like t-shirts and jeans,
Mhm.
very dressed down and normal.
Mhm.
And then they dress up. To me, oh, you're taking this seriously,
Mhm.
right? You're trying to show me a different side of you.
Mhm.
And I can respect that. Now, if you show up in your typical friend attire, I'm not saying that's going to destroy the date, but it's telling me that you don't really see the change in our relationship yet.
Mhm.
You're feeling this out from a different angle. You might not even be taking it quite as seriously yet,
Mhm.
right? Provocativeness, revealing, and all that stuff. I mean, at this age, personally, if you got the body to rock it, rock whatever you want to rock, right? That's I could care less if you walk outside with the fig leaf on. If you feel like you can make it to the
Yep.
car and back,
I love that. That must be
Because-
I
I mean,
love it. Yeah.
I appreciate whatever effort you put in for me or for you.
Right.
Like I say, I get to benefit. That's always like
Mhm.
whatever it is about a woman's body. I'm not here to judge you. Either I like it or I don't.
Mhm.
Right. So that's it. So what you're wearing, it matters to a degree. I mean, time and a place, maybe if you're wearing like a mini skirt and like it's right underneath your butt cheeks and we had a very family friendly environment.
Yeah.
I might
Yeah,
ask you a
yeah.
little bit like what you thought this was going to be. Maybe I didn't communicate where we were going.
Mhm.
Maybe I had some involvement in that. That's what I would think. Because if we do it over and over again and you always just extremely provocatively, I'm gonna ask you where you work for one. Like, why do you have so
What
many
you do
clothes
for a
like
living?
this? And I appreciate it, but I might start gearing where we go a little bit different.
Yeah,
Maybe
right.
some darker places and things like that. So
Which means they're still interested. You know what I
It means
mean?
I'm still interested because I'm
Just
trying to
changing
figure out
where we're
what's going
seen
on,
together, right?
because if you're dating someone at my age group or older, you have already lived a little bit of a life. So I'm not sitting here trying to all of a sudden change you.
That's right.
You got
Yeah.
here somehow. I'm interested in you somehow. So let me figure that piece out before I just look at what you presented up front. I don't. Are you happy? Like it's clothing is so far down the list. I couldn't even imagine it's important to me.
I like for a woman to be comfortable.
Right.
That's and she knows that. That's just me. Like, in fact, and obviously when the first date, but we've gone out some areas and some guys I know in a certain scene. You're like, you let her dress like? I'm like, first of all, there's no let.
Right.
First of all, there's no let, and you feel comfortable with her. Yeah, she grown, ain't she? She know how to dress herself. I mean, and I would say it that way
Yes.
to them. Like, she came with me, she leave with me.
Right.
I champion it, brother.
That's how I look at it. I'm like,
I'm
you came
the
with me,
first
she
person to
leave
tell
with
you
me.
you look good in that outfit.
Exactly,
I shouldn't be the only one.
Exactly.
I want to be the first.
But I'm like,
That's my
they got
process.
eyes in their head, and so do I.
Absolutely.
I'm just the one she came with.
Exactly.
But I'm gonna tell you, depending on where we are as guys, in terms of I can call it maturity or whatever, or there's some guys that based on image and their self-worth where they're at, they're just like, no, I don't want to be with a woman that dresses this way or that way, And if she agrees to that, then cool. If she doesn't, then that's where she's at, and that's where he's at,
Okay. Sorry, so back to Mantra's query about the dating. Pam, what were your thoughts on that?
About the what?
Date, when you go on a date, what Mantra was talking about, question she asked about, if you go on a date, do you still think men are supposed to
paying.
pay? Or women?
I still feel it should be. I still personally feel that way.
Yeah, me too.
Right. I have a hard time with letting that piece go.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, it's definitely changing. I mean, I like I say, I get asked out by women from time to time, and in that conversation, because of maybe whatever reason, women will say it. They'll say it on before you as you're setting it up. Like, you know, I really want to go out with you. I'll pay. I just want to spend time with you. And I'm like, you think I'm broke? Like, you know.
But see, that's a big one. I mean, for guys, because like I said, if you take it seriously, a lot of it traditionally, it depending on how much you lean on tradition and how much culture is saying, guys do this, we take care of that, we boom, 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 boom. Then it's like, okay, I hear that. When do we? It's almost like waiting on the other shoe to drop. When does the other thing kick in as we get more serious? You know, because right now this is a nice social experiment. I mean, literally, I'm just being real because then all of a sudden there's where we're at as a dating, and then there's where we're at where we're taking each other more seriously. And what is that to you? Where is the thing that clicks in your head that says, this is him or this is her and this is our role?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then let's have that conversation about this stage because it's different. It's different.
It would definitely, if a woman invited me on a date and she wanted to pay, almost had to demand it, it would definitely lend into that conversation coming up extremely quick of why does she feel the need to be so, why is that so important to her?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And maybe it's a comfort thing. Maybe she feels like she doesn't want to owe me anything.
Yeah, I've come across that.
Okay, fair enough. Then you don't owe me anything. Pay for the meal and I don't owe you anything. I do. You know, how does that work? You know, but and if we were to get into a long-term relationship, is this going to continue? I mean, I'm not saying I'm against it, but how do you feel about splitting the finances in a relationship? That's a date conversation. Usually not a first date conversation, but since that financial thing has been brought to the forefront of that date, I think it's go ahead and bring it up then, since it's a very important piece for you. Why is that so important? Do you make way more money than I thought you did? You know, what if she's a millionaire? And I'm like, okay, well, hey, if you're a millionaire and you got it like that, or perhaps she feels as though she's inviting you to a place where she wouldn't ask you to spend that money because it's an unreasonable place for a first date, but she really likes that place, right? Where the plates are $200-300 a person. And she's like, I really want to go there and I want to go with you, but I wouldn't expect anybody to spend it on the first date, so I'll pay. That's a reasonable thing to say, you know, and as a man who makes okay money, I probably would still try to pay. But maybe I couldn't. Maybe I genuinely couldn't pay. I'm like, hey, I got a kid, I got this going on, I got bills, I'm doing this and that. I can't afford it, but I would love to go, so I'll take your offer. So I don't have an issue, but in generalities, I'm probably going to pay for the first date.
Yep. I'm big on that.
How do you feel about it?
I think I've been in different situations where, you know, I don't have any problem going Dutch. But I would prefer for the male to pay. Because for me, it's a security thing. And I think I look at it as more that he's more serious about, you know, I know where he's standing at on the date. You know, that, okay, he's serious about this and may want to take things a little bit further. But I'm like, you know, it's a gesture. It's a part of caring for, you know, the way I feel. It's part of nurturement. But I do understand, for me, the way I view, if a woman pays for something, especially if they've been on a couple of dates or whatever, it's like, I mean, let your pocket seize a little bit. You know, I got this. So we may view it, you know, a little bit different. That, you know.
For me, it's about it's similar. So I don't expect anything these days. There's nothing that I would expect if I was dating. But if I was dating and someone was like, you know, they asked me out on a date and I was like, oh, I might be interested in getting to know this person and they offered to pay, cool. But if I got on the date and I knew that I didn't like them at all, I got this.
Right, you get up out.
I got this, you know. And for the reason you said, some people said, like, I don't want to think I owe you anything. You know, I don't want to lead you on any type of way. Although that could, I guess, lead you on maybe think I want to value stuff, but no, I just want to get out of here. Or I would go Dutch, one of the two. So, or at least, you know, give me my separate checks. More like that, that's what I would do, separate checks. That's how I would handle that. But no, I don't expect it. I don't think it should be one way or another. I just don't think people should expect.
I think it's interesting though, because women, we come from different points of view too. So we in a sense have to make sure that we're protected, making sure that, you know, we're not, we're easing our way out of a situation that could be uncomfortable, you know. So it's like, we're not going to make, if I don't like the person, you know, and I don't know, if I feel like he may be coming heavy or whatever, then it's like, okay, yeah, let me pay so I can ease my way out of this situation. This was nice, this was good, but let me, you know, I need to go, you know. And so he doesn't think that he
I hope you brought money.
Right, I'm getting up out. You know, I'm texting my sisters, I'm texting everybody like, okay, now this ain't right here. I'm sending my location, which we send our location normally before we go out on the first date anyway. I do. If I was meeting someone new, you know, everybody.
I'm always ready for smoke. So I just stay on guard. I don't know.
Right.
The little ones.
Right. No.
But
What do you mean? Y'all got a different dynamic and things y'all think about that we don't. I mean, we don't. There's certain things we don't think about the same stuff. I mean, if a fight broke out in a club and a guy jumped behind you, he's probably ain't gonna get a second date.
Right.
But he's no less.
This is you. Jump behind her, you all right?
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Tigra might be a little
I got
different.
it.
She might tell you, get behind me, I got
Yeah,
it.
but he'll
With
probably
my
jump
whole
out
life.
first, and then you push him out the way. So,
That's why I paid for the dates.
Right.
right.
it's funny because I know someone who did that. We call him Take Off Tommy to this day.
Oh my
Mm.
God.
He
Take
never,
Off
never
Tommy.
lost that name. Take Off Tommy. If you watch it, we remember you. No, he wasn't dating me.
You just trying to get the car more. I understand. It was before I think, brother. I got you.
Yeah, just saying. Man. You know, somebody had to do it.
Give him the keys when we go out from now on. He's gonna be at the car first.
Right, right. So what do you guys think about, everyone think about putting out on the first date? People
Put
still
somebody
say that?
outside?
No.
No.
I know, it's like an old term.
You been going there. You had a couple of you threw out that was like ancient history. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think the definition still applies, you know, because I mean, I've heard of relationships who are together in long-term relationships after, you know, after.
One night stand or what they thought was going to.
I've never had a one night stand, so I don't, you know.
It was like, well,
There was a moment of
We've had
silence.
this conversation before,
Yeah.
he and I, so yeah, I know you've had one night stands, right?
not that you've had them, not, but what do you feel about like a woman who does that?
I don't know. I don't
I
think we
don't
define
think
it
of
the
it
same
like- I
way.
don't
Like
think
it
of it-
used to be, say, 10
I
or
don't
even
look
15,
at that as like
20 years ago.
It's
It's
different
different.
now.
as a negative. I just
It just is.
like I said, like I said, I think
painting.
initially
Right.
when you go out on a date, you are most likely at the start physically attracted to them.
Yeah.
So you don't look at her as easy or
No.
anything
No,
like
I
that.
don't look at it like that. You know, I don't look at it through
So
that
that
way.
has changed, you said.
I think it has. I mean, just talking to, you know, other sister friends and a lot of times, you know, we all make decisions and make choices.
I think that's
And
very
so-
a maturity thing. I can
Yeah,
definitely
very
say when
much
I was
so.
younger, I remember me and a cousin who's gonna be watching this. He'll remember this story. We used to go to a guy to get our cars fixed. And at some point when we got to a certain age, he stopped fixing our cars.
Mhm.
He would just be like, I'm not fixing this, you fixing this. I'll
Mhm.
show you how to do it, but you're gonna have to be a man and do it yourself.
Mhm.
So we've been sitting there and we just kind of be shooting it back and forth with him. He's a little bit older than us, but he wasn't like a dad, but he was significantly older than us. And I remember one day we were just talking about girls, being stupid boys, and he was like, "Hey, I hit this, and man, it was easy, and then she was nasty, and all this being stupid. That's real stupid. Like we was young, so you know no better. And he was just letting us talk for a while, and I guess he got to a boiling point where he couldn't take it no more. And he was like, "Y'all sound real stupid." We were like, "Huh? What happened?" He was like, "Did it ever occur to you that she was testing you? Did it ever occur to you that she gave you something to see how you react, and you did exactly what she thought you would do, be an idiot, so that you saved her a lot of time and headache by showing what you were up front. You ain't no man, you a boy." And we was like,
Yeah, I think I had that conversation with
from that point on, I realized, oh yeah, I guess they are involved in this too.
Yeah.
And that goes back to like some women preparing, right?
Yeah.
Bra and panties and all that. So like you think as a man, I did all these things and I conquested, right? I got her. It's like, yeah, she opened the road for you a whole lot, buddy. Like
Right.
it wasn't all you. You thought you was getting all the shots. She kept moving the goal closer for you. So
was good enough for the goose.
exactly. So then once you get past that in your life, I could care less how quick or I don't know, maybe I shouldn't even talk about that. But
Talk about it. Say.
I just what I don't personally care for, and it's not like I get mad about it. It's just a thing.
So what doesn't David personally care for? Stay tuned for part 3 of our healing series of Black male and female relationships from Tuesday Table Talks. Thank you for watching, and please make sure that you subscribe, like, and share these videos. Love and light.